Once upon a time, way back in 1966, a couple that I'll refer to as Jane and Kent because that's their names, decided to go out to see a Broadway show. Now, they lived in Rhode Island at the time, and so the simplest way for them to get to New York City was by train. The New York Central line, Boston to Penn Station. And since they were going to be on the train for a few hours, they decided to avail themselves of the dining car. Not the snack bar, the dining car. They got the best sandwiches money could buy. Egg salad for him, tuna fish for her. When they arrived at Penn Station, the first thing they did was go to Bessie's Bagels. Yes, Bessie's Bagels, the most famous, popular bagel place in New York City at the time. Don't look for it anymore, it closed in the 80s. But they immediately went to Bessie's Bagels because anytime they went to the city, they made sure they brought home a dozen of those delicious bagels. And since they were going to see this show, they didn't want to take a chance that Bessie's might close before they got out of the play. So they went and they got a big paper bag full of nice, warm, steaming bagels. And then after a leisurely stroll to the Ambassador Theater to see The Lion in Winter, they arrived at the box office, where Kent put that bag of bagels on the counter for the box office as he opened his coat to get his money. And the lady behind the window there, she said, "Hey, those are Bessie's bagels. You know, I haven't had those for a while. You know, I show that you guys are in 2 seats way in the back of the balcony, but I can move you to 2 seats in the very front of the balcony for just 2 bagels." Well, they thought this might be an inexpensive upgrade, so they agreed. However, Kent did just feel a little conflicted as he pushed 2 of those bagels underneath that little caged window. I mean, here he was bribing a corporate official, greasing the palm, as it were. Would they be thrown out for ill-gotten seats? But fortunately, no, the ushers merely took them up to their seats and they settled in and enjoyed the show. And enjoy it they did, at least for a little while. But then, you see, it started to get a little warm up there in the theater, in the balcony, and also, the Ambassador was built in the 1920s. These older theaters in New York, the balcony seats were always tilted forward to make it easier to see the stage. However, if you were in the very front of the balcony, you would see the stage, but you would also see this large, black, gaping pit in front of you. Now, for some people, this gave a feeling of vertigo. And unfortunately, Jane was one of those people. So that vertigo, mixed in with the heat of the balcony, it basically woke up that fish in her stomach. And the fish decided to swim upstream, if you know what I mean. Swam up and it leaped right over the balcony. Now not everything, but enough. And Jane and Kent, they looked at each other and they thought, well, maybe it'll be okay. Maybe there's no one directly beneath us. Maybe no one's going to get it. Hey, who's doing that? Hey, maybe we should leave. And so after a few excuse me's and pardon me's, they finally got to the stairs and started to go down. But unfortunately, they met a man coming up who was very irate. And he grabbed Kent by the coat and he started to shake him and said, "Sir, you're going to step outside for those shenanigans." And then the fragrance of those bagels wafted out of Kent's coat and over to the man. And he said, hey, those are Bessie's bagels. I haven't had those in a while. You know what? Give me 4 of your bagels and we'll call it square. Well, that seemed better than meeting the guy in the alley, so they handed over 4 of their bagels there. "You got any locks on you?" "No, we don't carry around locks with us." Well, after that, Jane and Kent decided this night had been too exciting. Let's go home. And so they headed back to Penn Station to get the next train back. But as the train was rumbling along and the conductor came by to punch their tickets, he looked at it and he said, "Kingston, Rhode Island? We don't stop in Kingston, Rhode Island. Wasn't this the New York Central line?" "Well, yeah, but this is the Express." What can we do?" "Well, you can get off on one of the earlier stops and then just wait for the next train about 2 hours behind us. Or you could take a cab. Or you could go all the way up to Boston and get another train back. Yeah, the only thing we do in Kingston is a mail drop." "Oh, a mail drop. That works for us. We'll take the mail bags off the train. We'll save you some work. We just won't get back on." No. It's not a mail stop. It's a mail drop. We don't actually stop the train. We just drop off the bags. Well, isn't there anything else that could be done? And it was about then that the fragrance of those bagels started to waft over to that conductor. And he said, "Hey, those are Bessie's bagels. I haven't had those in a while." Oh, do you think a bagel might help you think of a solution?" "Well, there's 3 other conductors I have to confer with, so I think 4 of those bagels might help us think of a solution." 4? Well, at least it'll leave them with 2, 1 each. So they handed over 4 more bagels. They had to get home. And so they went on a little bit while, and as they approached the Kingston station, the conductor, he came back and he said, all right, come to the rear car with me. And so they followed him to the rear car, and there they saw some of the mail sacks all ready to go. He said, okay, I got these 2 empty mail bags. I want you guys to get in them. Get in them? What, you're going to throw us from the train? We'll be killed. No, we're not going to throw you from the train. There's this drawstring that we put on this hook here. There's another hook at the Kingston station. As we go by, the hook in Kingston grabs the drawstrings and pulls the bags off the train. Well, isn't that dangerous? Isn't it possible that, the bags might fall and hit the ground? Oh, no, that's very rare. It's happened like once or twice a week, and it's already happened 3 times this week, so you're good for the rest of this week and half of next. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking it too. Cab doesn't sound so bad right now. But the night had been so interesting, they decided to see how this was going to play out. And so they shimmied themselves into those 2 mail sacks. The conductor cinched them up, put the drawstrings on the hook with the other mail bags, and he said, all right, we're approaching the Kingston station right about now. You're going to feel a jerk. Whatever you do, don't, and they'll never know what they weren't supposed to do. Because that's when they felt the jerk. And they were pulled off the train. Now the bags went up, they went down, they swung back a little bit, but fortunately they stayed on the hook, and everybody was safe. However, Kent and Jane couldn't get out of the sacks because their weight was keeping the drawstring tight. Fortunately for them, though, the postman was already there, and he got the first bag and he put it in his truck. Then he went back, got the second bag, put that in his truck. Then he got the third bag, which happened to be Jane, so she screamed, ah! He screamed, ah! Everybody screamed, ah! Who's in those bags? Hi, sorry, we didn't mean to scare you. We're just trying to get home, and the conductor thought this was the best way to get off the train. Well, you guys are interfering with U.S. mail. This is a federal offense. No, there's no mail in here. It's just us. Well, those sacks still belong to the U.S. government. I got to call this in. No, please don't. We're trying to get home. My wife's not feeling well. We've had a crazy night. And do you like Bessie's Bagels? Bessie's Bagels? Haven't had those in a while. Why, you got some? Yeah? Well, how many? 2. All right, that's good enough for me. And so it was agreed upon. The postman got them out of the sacks. They gave over their last 2 bagels. And as Kent and Jane sat in their car staring out at that cool night air, Kent crushed up that bag of empty dreams and broken promises. But he found there was something still inside. And he reached in and he pulled out 1 more bagel. For you see, Bessie's had a special. You buy 12, you get a baker's dozen, 1 free. And so they broke that bagel in half. And as both of them sat back and bit down on that doughy, delectable goodness, they thought to themselves, oh yeah, totally worth it. And that's the story of Bessie's Bagels.